Welcome to Money 101. My name is Kristina Messenger, Executive Vice President with Five Rings Financial and agency owner of Messenger Financial. I'm excited that you've joined us to learn a little about money, from the basics to retirement strategies. I hope that this class helps you reach your financial goals. A couple of things about our company. Number one, we believe everyone should have access to free financial education. That's why whether you come to an online class or whether you visit us across the country at one of our in-person classes, we will never collect your information. The second thing is I want you to relax and truly take advantage of the free financial education that I am going to provide you today, because there is absolutely nothing for you to buy. This is all information for you and your family to help advance your financial knowledge. So let's get started. This is our friend Larry. He's going to help us go over 3 hurdles today. The first, accumulation. The second, distribution. And lastly, protection. One of the reasons that I'm so passionate about what I do is because this article was written in 2011. And at that time, it highlighted the top 400 wealthiest individuals in our country. 80% of our wealth was controlled by the top 20% of that list. To me, that's criminal. We need to do a better job of teaching not only ourselves as adults, but also the next generation about financial education. We need to teach them the basics. We need to give them access to let them know that there are ways that they can win the money game from the time that they are 15, 16, 17, 18. They don't need to wait like the rest of America to start thinking about saving for retirement at age 52. And I believe that that begins with one simple strategy. If you take nothing away from this video today, I hope you take this concept. And it's called our $5 a day program. It begins with teaching yourself and the next generation the power of what just $5 a day can do for you and your legacy. See, there's only 3 things that you need to determine how much money you will end up with at a specific time. First, what's the amount that you're willing to allocate? Second, what is the interest rate annualized that you expect to get return? And third, how long are we going to save that money for? So in this example, $5 a day for 40 years at 10% annualized rate of return would yield $1 million. Now, for those of you that are mathematicians and you've done the quick math, you're like, well, it's 977,000. That's okay. It makes my slide look prettier at 1 million. So we round it up. But this concept, this one concept, if we can start to teach our 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, our 20-year-olds, we will forever change how our next generation deals with money, accumulates wealth, and they will win the money game. But I know what you might be thinking. Just like our friend Larry, you encountered the highest inflation that our country has gone through in the last 3 to 4 years. And you might be thinking to yourself, $5 a day sounds really great. But honestly, even though I know that's only $150 a month, I don't have that right now. That's okay. For absolutely free, our company offers a service called Refinance Your Finances. That's right, absolutely free. You're going to want to talk to the person that invited you to this video, but this service will help you find money that you already have. We run everything that you have, your insurances, your taxes, your mortgage, saving, spending, through a funnel. Now, we are not tax professionals or mortgage professionals. However, we partner with those professionals to make sure that you are not overspending in those categories. We then also teach you how to allocate your money and make sure you know where every dollar is going. On average, we save our clients or find $250 a month. So if we know the power of $5 a day, which is $150 a month, and then we're able to help you find $250 a month, that means that you can start allocating that $150 towards your retirement right away. It also means that there's a little bit left that's extra. Maybe we invest that into something else. Maybe we pay off debt. Maybe you take that trip that you've been waiting to take. So that is one principle that I think is highly important. The second principle I want to teach you about is the power of interest rates. See, Albert Einstein said, interest rates and compound interest specifically is the 8th wonder of this world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Today, in our country, for the first time since October of 2024, we actually have more debt than we have saved as consumers. This is because we don't understand how compound interest works. I think, again, if you have the next generation in your house, if you truly want to change the legacy of your family when it comes to wealth, this is something to teach everyone in your family, in your business. It's called the Rule of 72. Here's how it works. If today, when you joined this video, I said, hey, thanks for coming. Here's $1. And with that dollar, I'm going to give you a 1% interest rate. To find out how long it would take for that $1 to become 2, we're going to take that interest rate of 1% and we're going to divide it into 72. This is not a trick question. 1 goes into 72 times. This means it's going to take your $1 to become $2, 72 years. Now, the best financial advice that I can give you today is please don't put your money in any type of financial instrument out there that pays you less than 1%, unless you have more than one 72-year doubling period in your life. And we can laugh about that and joke about that. But the fact of the matter is, for individuals who went through 2000, 2008, and then in 2012, there were trillions of dollars that left our market that have never returned. And there are billions of dollars that are sitting inside of bank accounts earning less than 2% across our country. That means that individuals' money on average is taking 35 to 37 years to double. That's not enough if we want to retire, and we want to retire on the same lifestyle that we're used to living. So we need to learn how interest rates work for us and against us. I want to share with you an example so that you really understand how interest rates can work for you and against you. We're going to look at a story. A grandmother left her 3 granddaughters $5,000. She had 2 rules. Number 1, they had to invest it. Number 2, they needed to leave that money there until they were 65. The first granddaughter did what most of us did. She went to the bank. Now, this is the biggest exaggeration in this story, is that you can go to the bank and get 4% from your local bank. On average, CDs, things of that nature that are at banks, you're only going to find at 0.5%, 1%, 2%, maybe 3%. But we're going to pretend that this triplet got 4% from her local bank. That $5,000 that she put in there, she wondered, how long is it going to take for my money to double? So 4 goes into 72 18 times. That means that that triplet's money is going to double every 18 years. She's going to end up with, at age 65, she's going to end up with $20,000. Not bad. It was a free gift from her grandmother. The second triplet attended one of our classes, found out that in a safe money way, meaning that she does not have to risk her $5,000 or any interest that she earns, that we've been helping our clients for almost 30 years receive 8.25%. So that triplet, 8%, 8 goes into 72, 9 times, her money is going to double every 9 years. And at age 65, she will end up with $80,000. Now, to me, that's a difference, $20,000 or $80,000. But to put a 0 on it and it's time to retire, that's a really big difference. We didn't go from 4 to 10. We didn't go from 4 to 14. We just simply went from 4 to 8. Third triplet decided to also attend one of our classes, learned about something called indexed annuities, which have the potential to earn 12%. 12 into 72 is 6. That means that triplet's money is going to double every 6 years. She's going to end up with $320,000. That, my friend, is a huge difference. Again, we didn't go from 4 to 20. We simply went from 4 to 12%. And that you can obtain in the market today. If you want to know more about this, it's called The Power of Interest Rates. If you need us to help review what you're currently paying for things like mortgages and credit cards, or maybe you have accounts that are in the market with another financial professional, we're happy to review your accounts at no charge to make sure you're earning the interest rate that you believe you are. The next thing that I want to share with you is what taxes can do to your wealth. See, most of us don't understand that Uncle Sam is actually not our friend. The 401k that we've all grown to love, that we think is this awesome financial tool that will get us to our retirement dreams, actually was created by our government. Most of our grandparents and great-grandparents, they had things like pensions, which were on the non-taxable side of our chart when we're at retirement. 401ks are actually on the taxable side. So I just want you to have a little bit of a glimpse into the difference between a non-taxable account and a taxable account. Non-taxable accounts are things like Roth IRAs, tax-free retirement accounts, true pensions, which our country today has less than 5% of. There are some 457s in the market for our first responders, nurses, teachers that are also tax-free. Those would fall on the tax-free side. This is important because the one thing we cannot control when you are ready to retire is what will the tax rate be. And so a non-taxable account works like this. Again, with that dollar that I would have given you, if I would have told you that I will double that dollar every year for the next 20 years, this is what you would end up with at the end of that 20 years. $1,048,000 and change. That's a great deal. By the way, anybody ever offers you that, take it. But for most of us, we are on the taxable side. We have 401ks, we have CDs, we have stock accounts, things that we're going to have to pay taxes on. But we don't understand the impact that that creates when we're building wealth over time. So in this example, that same $1, we're still going to double it. So 1 becomes $2. And the average tax rate in the United States is 28%. So now that we've doubled it to 2, we have to take taxes out and pay Uncle Sam. So after we do that, that leaves us with only $1.72. We double it again, we end up with $3.44. We take our tax, we have $2.96. Now here's the thing. When we double it and tax it, double it and tax it, double it and tax it, all the way down to 20 years, most people are astonished to find out that at the end of that 20 years, they actually end up with only $51,000 in change. This, my friend, should be criminal. This is why we as Americans cannot get ahead. We don't understand the power of having non-taxable accounts inside of our portfolios, inside of our tools for our financial success. And the fact of the matter is that millionaires and billionaires in our country, the only reason they're ahead on non-taxable accounts is because they understand the tax code. In our country, we have H&R Block and TurboTax. Maybe we're getting our taxes done for free. I'm going to employ you to please use a professional, a CPA, a tax professional to do your taxes, that you sit down with and you make sure you're getting all the deductions that you desire, and not only that, that you deserve. Some of us are missing things, and money is actually being paid to Uncle Sam just because we're thinking, oh, I'll do the free service or the less expensive service. I want you to be aware the tax code, whether you're a wealthy or whether you're on your way to wealth, is the same for both of us. So let's do better and take advantage of it. One way we can do that in this economic uncertainty is to understand that there is an account that the wealthy have been using for many years. It's called an indexed account. An indexed account is something that is not held at a bank. It's not held at maybe even your financial institution or retirement professional's office that you currently use. Indexed accounts, for the most part, are held at insurance companies. One of the longest standing financial institutions that is privatized in our country. And the wealthy have known this for years. This is how they continue to build their wealth. Most of us as Americans in the middle class, when we think about investing our money, we think of one place, either putting it in the mattress or heading to the stock market. We don't really think about anything other than those two options. If we like the safe part, it's going to the mattress. If we're a little bit more risky, Well, we're going to try the stock market because that's what everybody else is doing. The thing about the stock market that most middle-class Americans do not like is the ups and the downs, the roller coaster ride. They don't understand it. They don't think that it works for them. So they end up cashing out their 401ks early. They lose all that compound interest. And most importantly, they lose time. But the wealthy have figured out that since we learned the power of $5 a day and the 3 things that you need to determine your financial success in 40 years is how much, how long, at what interest rate. Indexed accounts in our country with the companies that we work with have been producing consistent results of almost 30 years at 8.27% return in a safe environment, meaning that my clients don't have to risk the money that they are contributing into these indexed accounts or the interest earned. Here's how they work. We're going to pretend that we go to the beach today. I like to go to the beach of money. We're going to take our sand bucket. We're also going to take our shovel. We're going to scoop up money and put it into our bucket. Because it's a safe money strategy, none of the dollars that we put into our bucket we're going to lose. We also cannot lose any of the interest that's earned. Now, when our bucket gets full, that's all that we can put in there. What we love as middle-class Americans about an indexed account is that the money that we've now put in our bucket, the money we've contributed, the interest earned, we cannot lose. See, these indexed accounts, they look to the market to say, market, did you go up or market, did you go down? If the market went down, zero is our hero. We do not lose any of the money in our bucket. When the market goes up, we get an interest crediting. Let's take a look at how this works. If we had $100,000 and we had 2 places to put it, an indexed account or the stock market, this is what would happen over 5 years looking at both accounts. If the stock market goes down, we would lose money. In an indexed account, when the market goes down, zero is our hero. Again, at the second year, if the market goes down, then you're maybe possibly down to, let's say, $50,000. But in an indexed account, we simply slide to the left, slide to the right. Zero is our hero. We still have all $100,000. See, the math they don't teach us in school is that today, if I had $100,000 and the market went down 50%, I would end up with $50,000. And even though tomorrow the market might go back up 50%, I'm only going to have $75,000. It's called making up for losses. In an indexed account, you don't have to do that. In the stock market, you do. You would be entering tomorrow, even though the market went back up 50% with just $75,000 out of your $100,000. The way that indexed accounts credit interest is in segments, month to month, year to year. So when the market does go back up, this is now your new interest crediting. So one thing we love about indexed accounts is that when that market goes up, this is now your new locked in point. Remember, can't lose the principal, can't lose the interest credited. The next year, when the market goes down, you simply slide to the left, slide to the right. Zero is your hero, no harm done. The next year, when the market goes up, most indexed accounts have what we call a cap. In most of them, it's 10%. This is what makes these accounts too good not to be true. There's a floor so you can't lose that principal and interest, and there is a ceiling. So if in this example, the market would have gone up 12%, our clients gladly take 10% as the cap, and they are willing to give up that little 2% in order to know that they never have to make up for losses. Especially those clients who remember 2000, 2008, 2012, 15, 2020. It's nice to know that your hard-earned savings is sitting safely on the sidelines and just looking at the market instead of participating in all the ups and downs. So at the end of that 5 years, if your money would have been in a stock market, you would be down 7.8% and have $92,218. If it would have been in an indexed account, you would be up 21% and you would have $121,000. Now, sometimes at this point, people are wondering, can this work with my old IRAs, my old 401ks? What else can I put into these accounts? Yes, indexed accounts are available for you to open with large sums of money that potentially you have in 401ks that you're no longer at that job, or maybe IRAs. They're also available to open on monthly amounts. Remembering back to the $150 a month, that is the amount needed to start an adult indexed account. Children, we'll talk about them in a little bit, to build wealth for your family, we start those accounts at $50 a month. Now here's the thing, anyone can draw dots and lines, so let's look at the actual stock market. The blue line represents the actual S&P from 2000 to 2020. If that $100,000 had been in the stock market, you would have ended up with $256,000 and change. The red line represents an indexed account looking to the S&P 500 with a 10% cap. If that $100,000 had been in an indexed account, you would have ended up with $330,000 and change. That's a significant difference. What's even more significant than that is, what if you were ready to retire in one of the downturns of the market? The significant dips that you see from the blue line. What if that's when you were ready to retire? You would have had to wait maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years in order to be able to reach the retirement dreams that you were looking forward to. So these are called indexed accounts. If you want to know more about them, talk to the person that invited you to this video. All right, so we have covered already today the foundation of indexed accounts. We've also talked about accumulation. How do we accumulate? The power of accumulation over 20, 30, 40 years. How to know if your interest rate is working for you or against you. I also talked about that most of these indexed accounts are held at insurance companies. A lot of us in the middle class might wonder about that. We're not used to having financial tools or instruments or accounts held at insurance companies. It's actually because the wealthy figured out many years ago that in order to get tax-free distribution on their wealth, they needed to take advantage of tax code 7702, where we put together life insurance and a savings vehicle in order for us, the middle class Americans, to take advantage of this tax code. Now, here's the thing. You might have heard of things like whole life accounts. This is not a whole life account. This is an indexed account. There's a lot to learn about it. We hope that you reach out to the person that invited you to learn more. But sometimes you have days like this. What happens when we have unexpected news? Well, I want to talk about that third hurdle. We've covered the accumulation and the distribution, and now we're going to talk about the protection. Life insurance is actually not the sexiest part of your financial portfolio. However, it is the most crucial. It is actually the one thing that I believe middle class Americans don't have enough true information and education about. I want to give you a little bit of an example. These are clients, 34 years old, husband and wife. Husband was a builder. He ended up with a house that sometimes doesn't sell. That mortgage was $400,000. He made $80,000 a year. His wife stayed home with their 4 children. When we meet with families, we talked about how we refinance their finances. We were doing that with this particular family. What we realized is that this gentleman had gotten a life insurance policy out of college. He had checked the box like most of us do, but he had no idea what the coverage was. Turns out, for that $84, he only had $25,000 worth of death benefit. His wife, 0. His children, 0. If he lived to be age 65, he would receive a check for $15,000. My biggest public service announcement: if you have stay-at-home parents, they have to have life insurance. We recommend that you get at least $250,000 worth of coverage on those stay-at-home parents. Here's why. The USDA says that on average, without college expenses, it's going to cost you $319,000 to raise a child from 0 to 18. If you, the income parent, are working and something happens to your stay-at-home parent and they cannot provide the level of service and care because they either pass away or become ill, you're going to need money to take care of the children in the same manner in which everyone has become accustomed to. You, the income parent, need to continue earning that income. You need to make sure that your stay-at-home parents are protected. Back to the example. So we ran that $84 that he was paying for that life insurance that only provided $25,000 worth of death benefit protection through our funnel. We allocated $500,000 to the dad having $500,000 worth of coverage, which was much better and more appropriate for the debt that they had. Secondly, we put $250,000 worth of death coverage on the mom, and each child had $5,000. Now we ended up with $24 left. We are Five Rings Financial. So we took that, put that money to good work to help get some retirement for him at 8%, which we've been able to help our clients achieve for almost 30 years. 40 years later, he ends up with $250,000, of which that money is tax-free. He also will have availability to turn on a lifetime guaranteed income stream that he cannot outlive. That's the power of tax code 7702, putting life insurance together with a wealth building account. If you want to know more about that, again, talk to the person who invited you. So sometimes things change. We all remember the good old rotary phone changed into something like this, the smartphone, where now it controls all of our daily life activities. The same thing is true about life insurance. Most of us know life insurance is something that only pays out when we die. But the fact of the matter is, for over 20 years, there has been living benefits life insurance available to you, but over 90% of you have no idea that this exists. This is how it works. In that example, if something would have happened to any one of them, they would have been able to access their death benefit while they're alive. So let's take the dad, for example. If he would have had a critical illness like heart attack, stroke, cancer, cardiac arrest, or a chronic illness like he could not do 2 out of the 6 daily living activities or needed to be in a nursing home. Maybe he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's or a cognitive impairment. Maybe he had a critical injury like coma, paralysis, or severe burns. He would be able to access his death benefit up to 75% if he had a critical illness or a critical injury, and 2% a month for a chronic illness that required continuous care. This changes the game for so many families because over 50% of bankruptcies in our country are actually caused because, unfortunately, people have medical uh-ohs. And while health insurance pays their part, who pays for your mortgage while you're getting treatment? Who pays for the kids' daycare, groceries, the co-pays? Life insurance with living benefits allows you to keep living when you get that medical uh-oh or that diagnosis that you weren't expecting. It allows you to live, and not just live, but thrive if any of those things were to happen to you. Now let's talk about the next generation. This is actually one of my most favorite things to talk about because part of my story is that at age 29, I was a widow. And while I believe that life insurance is absolutely crucial to everyone's financial plan, I also believe that it's highly important for us to protect the insurability of our children. See, unfortunately, my middle son was born perfectly normal, and at age 19 months started having seizures. But as a young mom, no one told me the importance of protecting the insurability of my children. No one told me that sometimes you can get bad news, unexpected, with the medical outlook for your child, and you might need financial resources for that. We don't ever think about our children getting sick 5, 10, 15 years of age. My little guy, unfortunately, at 19 months became completely uninsurable and passed away at age 17. At the time of his death, I was even unable to get just burial insurance because of his rare seizure disorder. So this next concept, the $1 million baby plan, I dedicate to my youngest son. This is my little miracle guy, Lucas. Most $1 million baby plans, we start at just $50 a month. Also, most baby plans, we start when the babies are 15 days of age. But don't worry, if you've never heard of this, you can start at age 2, 5, 10, 15. It's never too late to start a $1 million baby plan. Here's how they work. Again, most of them start at just $50 a month. But I mentioned I was a widow, and I definitely, when I got remarried, knew that I wanted to have another little guy. And so we were a little older in life, a little wiser. We decided to allocate $200 a month to our $1 million baby plan. With that $200 a month, at age 24, we'll be able to take out $88,000, completely tax-free. This hopefully will buy a book at that time. At age 35, we'll be able to take out $115,000 to help purchase a home for his family. Wouldn't that be awesome if our parents had thought about us purchasing our home for our family in our 30s and having resources available for that? And then when he retires at age 65, he'll have $1.5 million just consistently making those $200 a month contributions to his indexed account. He'll have the ability to turn on a lifetime guaranteed income if he chooses. That's how the wealthy have continued to create the next generation of wealth. And that's what us, the middle class Americans, most desperately need to understand. The next 200 years in your family legacy can be different with these types of accounts. Let me show you exactly how they work. Number one, he's building cash regardless of his age. The other thing is he has $962,000 of permanent life insurance. What we love about that, he also has $962,000 of permanent life insurance. This is important because the average 35-year-old needs approximately $1.5 million. I am protecting his insurability at a young age. I know sometimes people might think, gosh, that's a lot of insurance. But the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, when individuals turn 20 or 30 or 40, they're unable to obtain the amount of coverage that they would like because they've had one of those medical uh-ohs earlier in life. So at $962,000, he doesn't even have the recommended amount for a male at age 35. On top of that, he'll have up to $721,000 worth of living benefits. The best part about those living benefits, he can file up to 7 claims. It's not one and done. So if he has a medical uh-oh in his 20s, he'll have the option of being able to continue that account. And if he has something else happen in his 40s, have that same access. This is powerful. Then he's building wealth for his future, for the next generation. We are starting this account to sow into him and to his family down the road. But he's building financial wealth for his future in retirement as well as an adult. You get to decide when you're ready to hand over this account. So if you're a parent or a grandparent watching this and you're like, this is incredible, but I don't think I want to turn this over to my 18-year-old, that's okay. You get to decide when you're ready to give them this gift. Again, anyone can draw dots and lines and put cute kids on, so I thought I would actually show you the history of his account. The first slide that you're seeing there is from 2021 to 2022. The market had nowhere to go but up. He earned 9.75%. What I want to draw your attention to is, remember, indexed accounts, they look at the S&P 500 on average. There's other indexes that are available, but we're not talking about apples and oranges. We're talking about oranges and oranges or apples and apples. The next year, from 22 to 23, for most people, it was a down year. He didn't have to make up for losses in this account. He earned 2.94%. And then last year, from 23 to 24, he earned 9.09% in this little segment. Again, indexed accounts look month to month and annual to annual. So no more worrying about what is the market doing from day to day. We're no longer concerned about that because our money is sitting safely on the sideline in the bucket where you cannot lose that principal and you cannot lose that interest earned. It goes all the way back to the first concept that I taught you, which is all we need to know: how much, for how long, and at what annualized rate. It's a set it and forget it strategy to help change the next generation, and the wealthy have known about it for years. Lastly, I want to share the story of our CEO's second client ever. He and his wife lived in Kansas. He was a pastor. They got started with just $50 a month. Like most of our clients, that $50 quickly turned into $100 a month, even though he only made $25,000 a year. A few years in, his income raised to $50,000. They raised their monthly contribution to $200 a month. About 8 years ago, his beautiful wife, Jill, called our office, talked about how her husband had given a sermon on tiny little threads, tiny little decisions that we make that make huge impact later. One of the things was this account. See, Mike had gone to their house 30 years before that shared with them the financial strategies that I just shared with you, and they decided to take action, to get started where they were. And for them, it was $50 a month. For you, it might be $50 a month, or it might be $500 a month, or maybe even $5,000 a month. The point is, we have to get started where we are, because the one thing I cannot, nor anyone else can give you, is time. And time is part of the equation to making your wealth success strategy come true. So make sure to reach out to the person that invited you, because today, that family is the millionaire next door. When they called our home office 8 years ago, their account had just gone over $1 million, $200 a month for 30 years, and they were the millionaire next door. You can be too. And with that, we hope that you enjoyed today's class. Again, you can come back anytime. We hope that you rewatch this. We hope that you share it with your friends and family, the next generation. We hope that the concepts taught here today really help you see how you can win the money game. And hopefully, this gave you hope that with just a few tweaks and financial strategies, that you can not only reach the financial success that you desire, but you can change the next generation. You're invited to fill out our free evaluation. You'll see the link provided, or somebody will share it with you in the room that you're in this evening. Really, thank you for coming. I hope that you enjoyed it. Our company is what we call a no-fee financial company. So for no cost whatsoever to you, we are happy to sit down, review what you're currently doing, see where you want to go, and see if there's any strategies that work for you. In addition, if you do decide to become one of our clients, there is no monthly fee attached to any of the accounts that I shared with you today. We just think there's a different way of doing business. It's great if you already have a financial advisor or a CPA. We work really well with them. So thank you again for your time. I hope you have a blessed day. I look forward to meeting you in the future.